Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, we're going to be checking out some incredibly cool battles in the Ultra League featuring a triple Shadow team and Shadow Zapdos. These battles were submitted to the channel by a fellow content creator and king of Shadow Pokemon, Jamie Finn. Now, Jamie Finn has reached legend rank for many seasons in a row using only Shadow Pokemon, so it's fair to say he is the undisputed king of Shadows. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches and watch the King of Shadow Pokemon destroy the competition with Shadow Zapdos. Hopping to the first match, picking up a great lead, Shadow Swampert into Talonflame. Opponent is going to save switch into Shadow Walrein, which will be met with Shadow Snorlax. Honestly, whether Talonflame is aligned against the Zapdos or the Swampert, it has absolutely nowhere to run. So honestly, switch advantage won't be particularly important in this match. Snorlax is going to fire off a Body Slam. Body Slam is going to connect. Opponent will fire off another move, and we're going to see a no shield from the Shadow Snorlax. Snorlax able to withstand the Icicle Spear and make the superpower. This will guarantee switch advantage or shield advantage, and the opponent commits the shield. Opponent fought hard for switch advantage, but what they don't know is that switch advantage is not going to help them. Walrein fires off the Icicle Spear. Icicle Spear is going to land. Swampert looking to overfarm, and a beautiful CMP tie, denying Walrein the Icicle Spear. Very nicely done. Hydro Cannon is going to KO. In the back, the opponent has Scrafty, and their backline is about to get absolutely crushed by Shadow Zapdos. In comes Shadow Zapdos, farming up and able to reach Drill Peck incredibly quickly. Opponent has to shield if they want to preserve the Scrafty, and that's exactly what they're going to do. At this point, the only thing you have to watch for is a Drill Peck catch onto Talonflame. Commits the shield. It's a power-up punch bait. Opponent goes for the Drill Peck catch, and now they're going to get swept by Zapdos. A perfect overfarm. Zapdos, Thunderbolt, one-shots the Talonflame and leaves with the Drill Peck loaded. Hello, Scrafty. Goodbye, Scrafty. And that is a good game. Bit of a tricky lead in the next match, Shadow Swampert into Walrein. Seeing Walrein on the lead, definitely a bit uncomfortable, as it does have a lot of play against both the Shadow Swampert and the Shadow Zapdos. Swampert is going to tank the Icicle Spear and return fire with the Earthquake, hoping the opponent calls the bait, but they do commit the shield. Farming up, and now going to bring in Shadow Snorlax. Shadow Snorlax is incredibly good at tanking damage, and that's exactly what it's called on to do. Snorlax tanks Icicle Spear number 1, and will tank Icicle Spear number 2, not going to be committing a shield to the Lax. Opponent is going to send in Talonflame, and Talonflame is going to be met with quite a bit of loaded energy from the Snorlax. Snorlax fires off the Body Slam. This is going to be close, barely able to outpace and reach another Body Slam. This will be getting the Talonflame quite low. Opponent is going to commit the shield. They're going to farm down, leave with 100 loaded energy, but they are down 2 shields. And now, honestly, I think you just bring in the Swampert to force them to throw energy, and then just trust in Shadow Zapdos with 2 shields. They are going to fire off the Brave Bird, and now they are debuffed, so Zapdos can shield once, farm down, and leave with energy for whatever the opponent has in the back. Opponent is going to switch out, and they send in Trevenant. Trevenant is not going to appreciate Shadow Zapdos, and we may be looking at another Shadow Zapdos sweep in the endgame. Drill Peck nearly able to one-shot. Zapdos will commit the shield. Opponent is going to bait with a Seed Bomb. We are going to see Zapdos continuing to farm up to the back-to-back Drill Pecks. This Drill Peck will, of course, easily KO. And now, as long as you don't accidentally Thunderbolt the Talonflame, this should be a winning game. Opponent is going to wait their timer, but their clock is not yet up. Walrein going to get crushed by a Thunderbolt. Zapdos Thundershocks down the Talonflame and secures the win. Nightmare lead in the next match, Shadow Swampert into Trevenant. We are going to see an immediate save switch into Shadow Snorlax, and the opponent responds with a Shadow Swampert of their own. Snorlax continues to farm and plays to the CMP tie. Swampert will fire off the Hydro Cannon. That does quite a bit of damage as the cell phone gets plugged in as well. Snorlax is going to fire off the Body Slam and get a shield from the opponent. Opponent continues to overfarm. They're going to let Snorlax fire off this damage, as it's not going to be lethal. Swampert continuing to overfarm, and at this point, you can just let the Snorlax go. The opponent has traded a shield for a massive amount of energy. And now you just bring in your own Swampert because you recognize that unfortunately your Swampert's health isn't the most valuable considering there's a Trevenant in play. Opponent is going to fire off the Hydro. That lands. Opponent is going to fire off Hydro number 2 and he's just going to let this go, trusting in the Zapdos to close this game. Zapdos gets the farm down. Opponent is going to send in Trevenant. It looks like they are pretty weak to Zapdos. Zapdos is going to commit the shield. It's just a Seed Bomb. Zapdos continuing to farm, and Zapdos is at the back-to-back drill packs, firing off the first one. Trevenant lets it through. They get taken out, and it's Wall Rain in the back. No baiting here. Going straight for the Thunderbolt. Thunderbolt one-shots the Wall Rain, and that is a good game. Tough leads continue in the next match. Shadow Swampert into a Bubble Jellicent. Swampert farming up, switches into Snorlax. Was he able to catch the Shadow Ball? Yes, he was. What a catch. Opponent is going to respond with an Obstagoon, but Obstagoon is not going to appreciate a Shadow superpower from Snorlax. Obstagoon is going to fire off a Cross Chop. Cross Chop gets the Snorlax low. Snorlax will fire off the last second superpower, and odds are opponent is probably going to be shielding here. Opponent is going to commit the shield and get the farm down, but now he's gotten shield advantage, and we've already seen just how deadly Shadow Zapdos with shield advantage can be. Firing off the Hydro Cannon lands, and it ends up being a CMP tie. Opponent is going to fire off the Night Slash. Night Slash is going to land. Opponent continues to farm. They reach Night Slash number 2, and we are going to see Swampert commit the shield. Swampert really does not want to take any extra charge move damage, is going to massively overfarm and fire off the Hydro Cannon. This Hydro Cannon will KO, and now leaves close to an Earthquake for the Jellicent, but it's not a Jellicent that they bring in. They bring in a Trevenant. Trevenant has enough for the Shadow Ball, and that proves to be a massive shield. And now Zapdos is able to double up on Drill Pecks, and this Trevenant is about to get crushed. Drill Peck gets the shield, one more Thunder Shock, and reaching Drill Peck number 2. This is gonna get rid of the Trevenant, and unfortunately for the Jellicent, they just don't have enough energy to outpace the Zapdos. Thunderbolt taking out the Jellicent as Zapdos closes again. Mirror leads in the next match, Shadow Swampert versus the regular. He's going to continue to overfarm quite a bit, and the opponent is going to fire off energy once they reach the Earthquake. He calls it's just a Hydro, and it is just the Hydro Cannon. He's going to continue to overfarm and fire off another Hydro Cannon. This Hydro Cannon is going to land, but unfortunately it's a CMP tie, so he's not going to be able to make a catch. He will commit the shield and continue to overfarm in this matchup, and now he's going to send in the Shadow Snorlax after banking double Hydros. Snorlax will be able to absorb the Hydro Cannon from the opponent, and the opponent is going to send in Cobalion. Cobalion, definitely an unfun Pokemon for Snorlax to see. Sacred Sword gets it low, and unfortunately Snorlax is not able to reach the superpower, only gets to the Body Slam, so the opponent does not have to commit the shield. The good news, however, is that Shadow Swampert does have a massive amount of energy, but in this particular instance, he's actually going to send in Shadow Zapdos. Zapdos is able to win CMP with the Drill Peck over the Stone Edge. Drill Peck is going to get the shield, and the opponent does have enough energy for the Stone Edge here. We are going to see a shield from the Zapdos, and Cobalion full sends it. That's quite good for the Zapdos, as now Zapdos will be able to massively overfarm here. Zapdos firing off the Drill Peck into Cobalion. Cobalion lets it go, and we see a snipe with the Shadow Swampert. Swampert going for the Hydro Cannon. That gets the shield, and it's a CMP sack swap, catching the Stone Edge. What an absolutely unreal play. Back in comes Zapdos. Zapdos gets the farm down. Opponent sends in Swampert. Looks like they're weak to Zapdos. Drill Peck is going to KO. In the back, they have Talonflame, and we've seen this story before. Talonflame, one shot by Zapdos, and that is a good game. Picking up a decent lead in the next match, Shadow Swampert into Scrafty. Swampert can typically force either shield or switch advantage in this matchup, so my guess is that's exactly what he's going for. He fires off the Hydro Cannon, opponent is going to let that through, and return fire with a charge move of their own. Opponent will full send the foul play, Swampert able to hang on and reach a Hydro Cannon. This Hydro Cannon will force switch advantage or shield advantage. Opponent commits the shield, we see a pivot into Shadow Zapdos, and the opponent fires what I believe is only a power power-up punch. He is going to let that through, and Zapdos is just going to continue to farm. Opponent will send in Registeel, but with this big of an energy lead, Shadow Zapdos is about to make Registeel feel pain. Thunderbolt is able to land, and that does close to half of Registeel's health. Registeel, now below half health, is going to commit the final shield on a Thunderbolt. Zapdos, at a 2-0 shield advantage, is finally going to start shielding. Commits the shield. Unfortunately, Zap Cannon does get the attack drop, so now this Thunderbolt may not KO. Firing off the Thunderbolt anyway. Thunderbolt onto the Registeel, gets the Registeel low, and we see a beautiful switch and a catch onto the Shadow Swampert. Swampert is going to be able to absorb that energy, no problem. And now, do you send in the Zapdos to farm down? That's exactly what he's going to do. Opponent sends in the Scrafty, but Scrafty will be stopped by a swift Drill Peck. Drill Peck gets rid of the Scrafty. In comes the Registeel. Registeel gets farmed down, and the opponent concedes the match. Mirror leads in the next match, but this time both Swamperts are Shadow. As before, he is going to stay in this matchup and look to overfarm quite a bit. He is going to farm to the back-to-back Hydros, but he's going for the kill shot Earthquake. Do they respect it? They do not! And the opponent concedes the match. Hopping into the next match, picking up a slightly less favorable lead, Shadow Swampert into Giratina. Going to try for the Dragon Claw catch, but the opponent holds on to their energy. Great patience there, and they're going to respond with Obstagoon. Obstagoon is farming up to the back-to-back charge moves. Snorlax will strike first with a Body Slam bait. Body Slam does get the shield. Obstagoon does have back-to-back moves here, meaning that Obstagoon can effectively deny the superpower, as Obstagoon is able to win CMP. He is going to commit a shield as he wants to either land the superpower or get shields down. Firing off the superpower onto the Obstagoon. Obstagoon is going to commit the final shield, and Obstagoon is going to get a nice farm down. But the nice thing is, Shadow Swampert has quite a bit of energy as well, and Swampert isn't too concerned about a Night Slash. Swampert is going to let the Night Slash through, overfarm to the back-to-back Hydro Cannons, and fire off the first. This Hydro Cannon is going to land, getting the Obstagoon low. Opponent is going to give up Switch and send in Giratina. Giratina fires off the Dragon Claw. Opponent farming up, and they lose CMP. That is incredibly good. Earthquake connects. Opponent unable to farm down. And now it's Shadow Zapdos with a shield versus the world. In comes Shadow Zapdos. Zapdos farming up. Looks like a little bit of a frame drop there as the opponent is going to fire off the Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw does so much damage. Zapdos is going to farm up to the back-to-back Drill Pecks and fire off the first one. This is going to be getting rid of the Giratina. We know the opponent still does have the Obstagoon, and their final Pokemon is revealed to be Swampert. Swampert is going to lose CMP to the Shadow Zapdos. Zapdos able to land the Drill Peck, and that just does so much neutral damage. Zapdos will commit the shield and continue to farm. Zapdos is going to fire off the Drill Peck, but the opponent makes a beautiful switch, catching it onto Obstagoon. Obstagoon will be taken out with the Drill Peck, but Zapdos has another one ready and waiting for the Swampert. Drill Peck takes out the Swampert and secures the win. Great lead in the final match, Shadow Swampert into Alolan Muck. Opponent is going to save switch into Empoleon, going to stay in here with the Shadow Swampert, bank an Earthquake, and make a catch onto Shadow Snorlax. He really enjoys using Shadow Snorlax as a damage sponge, and this game is no exception. Snorlax should be able to outpace the Empoleon here. He fires off the Body Slam one turn before the superpower, and the opponent commits the shield. Opponent is looking to overfarm. They don't want to get hit with a Body Slam, so they're going to fire off a Hydro Cannon, and we see the immediate no shield from the Snorlax. Snorlax has done its job, absorbed the energy from Empoleon, and gotten a shield advantage, and now in comes Shadow Swampert. Swampert has the back-to-back Hydros loaded, so the opponent just has to let this move through. Hydro is going to KO. In the back, they have Wall Rain, and with a big energy lead, Shadow Swampert is not baiting, going straight for the Earthquake. Earthquake does get shielded, and now with shields down, things are going to get very interesting. Shadow Swampert is going to commit the shield. Swampert should be able to make it to the Earthquake here. Opponent reaches another Icicle Spear, and we do see Swampert commit the shield. Swampert is going to farm, go for the Earthquake, but we see the opponent catch onto Alolan Muck. Earthquake gets undercharged. Swampert going for the Mud Shot, farm down, and gets it. What a play. Will be able to connect with an Earthquake onto the Wall Rain, and now Zapdos just has to make it to a Drill Peck. or get the farm down. This Icicle Spear is not going to KO, and that is a good game. All in all, these battles were an absolute treat to watch. Shadow Pokemon are high risk, high reward. They can output a lot of damage, but of course with their lowered defense, they're gonna take extra damage as well. So seeing Shadow Pokemon used well is absolutely incredible. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support you guys provide is absolutely incredible. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.